Today we're going to discuss cleaning a pool deck. Now this pool deck is one that's covered with a cool decking or a marcite coating. As you can see, it's starting to chip and there's a lot of cracks in this, so we really want to go in with a lower type pressure to not exacerbate any damage. Also, the paint on this is kind of blotchy. It's really time for a new coating, so we might notice some different stripes and striations in this once we're done cleaning. But once we're done cleaning, it'll be ready to be repainted or recoated if that's what the homeowner chooses to do. First thing we're going to do is to apply our cleaning solution. The idea on this is to not go and manually remove this algae and funk and biofilm that's growing. We really want to let our bleach and soap do the work. We've gone in and pre-wet all of the landscaping. In fact, we've really soaked the landscaping on here because wet plants aren't really going to drink very much. We're using about a 20% bleach mixture, and I'm applying this with a booster pump. As a homeowner, as somebody without a delivery system for this, you could apply it with really just a pump up sprayer if you wished. But this is about a 20% SH by volume to 80% water, and some industry specific soaps that we're using. Now if we start doing a walk around here, we can see where this bleach and soap mixture is actually really starting to work. It is killing the algae and the biofilm that's down there growing on this pool deck. So we want to let it dwell for 10 or 15 minutes, keeping it wet but letting the biocide do its job. Now when it comes time to actually pressure wash this pool deck, we're using a 5.6 gallon a minute 2500 psi pressure washer along with this 18-inch Whisper Wash Classic surface cleaner. Speed is everything to us as running a professional company, so we really want to be able to work at a quick pace. You could do this with a wand. I think it's very important to point out, though, we're really letting the chemical do the work on here. We don't want to put extreme pressure on this pool deck, especially since a lot of the paint is already starting to fail and it's cracking. This surface cleaner has 2 nozzles on there, so out of each nozzle we're only getting about 1250 psi coming out, not the full 2500 psi from the machine. Now when it comes time to rinse, again we're avoiding the high pressure. We're going in here with an open ball valve to rinse all the dead algae, the dirt that we've brought up from this pool deck, and going to go and rinse it off to the drains and off the side of the deck here. You can see we're left with something like this. The homeowner sees what areas are exposed now that are going to need repairs or need some repainting in the future. But most importantly, all of this algae is gone off of this deck. It's no longer a slip hazard, and it's so important to keep these pool decks nice and algae free to make them safer. With the failing condition of this paint, we would have literally ripped up a lot of the coating and exacerbated the existing damage had we just attacked this pool deck with pressure. This homeowner would have had to recoat this deck after we were done. I think at this point he could probably last another year, maybe 2 years before he has to go and repaint or recoat this deck. So he's really saved a good amount of money while still making his pool deck safe. Some of our really important takeaways on here is that chemical use isn't the problem. In fact, judicious use of the proper chemicals, in this case an industry-specific soap called Secret Agent, and bleach, is actually going to kill that biomass, that biofilm that's growing on there, and allow us to clean at lower pressures than just pressure washing alone. If we went in there and attacked this with just a pressure washer, we would need to be around 4,000 psi, which really could tend to chip up the coating that's on that deck and exacerbate the failing paint issue that's on there. One thing I didn't show on the pictures is that whenever we're done, we then want to go around possibly with a wand or with the surface cleaner again and touch up any void areas that we may have missed while we were washing it. Again, we want to make sure we pre-wet all of the landscaping around there. That's so important to do. Just wet plants are not going to soak up a bleach mixture that you've laid down on that pool deck. That's where a lot of people get into a lot of problems out there, is just spraying a bleach mixture on landscaping without thinking it through and doing any kind of pre-wetting of those plants. Again, we want to use appropriate pressure on here, not just blast away. You know, we're seeing actually an industry trend in these pressure washers of lower PSI and higher gallons per minute. You know, save that red tip, save that 4,200 PSI for paint removal. If you want to clean and preserve property, go in there with a lower PSI. Again, if you don't have a very efficient setup, there's no reason you can't do the same application with a 12 volt pump or even a pump up sprayer. And we're using about a 20% by volume mixture of bleach. We're not going in there and spraying out straight bleach on there. Don't be afraid to dwell it for a while. The soap that you use is going to help keep it wet, as opposed to just spraying straight bleach on there. It dries up and evaporates immediately, and you don't really get the kill or the knockdown power on there. So you can even keep reapplying over the solution that you've put on there to keep it wet and keep it active and keep it killing the algae on there. Because remember, we're not trying to remove paint, we're trying to remove stuff that's growing on the paint, so we can extend out the usable lifespan of the coating that's on this pool deck for this customer. This is also a customer that we wash his pool deck about every 2.5 years or so. Up here in the North Florida, we really get some pretty severe algae growth. So hope this has been helpful. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to reach out to us. And wash on, guys. Have a great day.